Welcome to Home Bakery Day. Today I'm answering one question. It's different than before. I'm not doing a whole bunch of them so that I can go into more detail on one topic. And the topic that you guys voted for is how to store your ingredients in your baking business and your baked goods for a longer shelf life. If we haven't met before, hi, I'm Aurelia and I'm a home bakery coach. My goal is to help you create consistent orders in your business so that you never have to worry about a stable income. Welcome everybody. Right, so the first reason why we want to, the whole motivation for storing our ingredients for longer shelf life and our baked goods is because we want to save time and money ultimately, right? That's the motivation. We want to save time and money. So I want to first of all start by telling you that I have a blog post to help you do that. It's called How to Get Your Baking Done Faster. Because if you can get your baking done faster, then you don't need to worry so much about storing your baked goods for a longer shelf life. You understand? Because then you already start off by saving time and you can churn out baked goods faster without worrying about them expiring quickly. So go to the link in my bio, click Home Bakery Day links, and then you will find under the baking tips, there's a blog post for how to get your baking done faster. So many time management tips for prepping things in advance, what you can prep in advance, what you can't. You'll love that post. It's perfect for you. Okay, so that's the first point. The next point, certain baked goods you can bake in advance and others you can't. Things like brownies you can definitely bake at least the day before or even 2 days before that. They contain quite a lot of sugar, so they preserve quite well. The only issue with brownies is them drying out, and the way you can fix that is to add a slice of bread into a sealed Tupperware container, because then the bread will kind of release moisture into the air inside the container, and that will help to keep your brownies moist. Another thing you can do is take a paper towel, fold it in half again, run it under some tap water, and then wring it out as thoroughly as you can. And then place that inside your container, because that gradual moisture release, just wring it out as well as you possibly can, because you don't want heaps of moisture in the container. Then your brownies might start getting moldy, which we obviously don't want. So rather wring it out as thoroughly as you can, that wet paper towel, and then put it into your Tupperware container just on the side, not touching any brownies, and then that will keep your brownies moist for a longer time. Plus, you can look into like vacuum seal containers. I saw on Bromo Bakery's one of her Instagram posts the other day. They are quite expensive, I'm sure, but you get this little gadget that sucks all the air out of a container. And remember, it's the air, the oxygen, that spoils baked goods. So if you can suck out the air, then that makes it last longer. So you can check that out if it's something you want to look into. Personally, I don't look into any of that stuff because I am an avid believer of baking goods fresh to order. It works so much better to rather prep your ingredients in advance. You can sift and measure and weigh out all your dry ingredients the day before. You can chop up anything that needs to be chopped, sift anything that needs to be sifted. And then on your baking day, things go so much faster because you can just chuck in the dry ingredients and there you go. So with cakes and cupcakes, for example, you cannot bake those things in advance. You can bake it like the day before. With frosting, try to frost it on the day so that it's nice and fresh. But I don't believe it is good practice to freeze your cakes or cupcakes. I don't think that's a good idea. I don't think that is professional. Well, okay, let me be careful. It's your choice if you want to do that. I just think the quality is not as great, especially if it comes to butter-based cakes. Those things do not chill well. It completely changes the texture. Oil-based cakes are different. If you really want to freeze your baked goods, your cakes and your cupcakes, for example, then you're going to need a really good freezer that freezes things solid. Because if it doesn't freeze it below a certain temperature, I'm not sure what the temperature is though, then your baked goods will, if you defrost them then, even if you let it happen steadily at room temperature, it's going to be a bit watery, which we don't want. Okay. So that's it. Oh, and the reason why you want to frost your baked goods, your cupcakes and your cakes on the day is because you don't want your frosting to taste like fridge. You know what it's like when something tastes like fridge, when it's just been in there for too long. So rather frost your cakes and cupcakes on the day. That works so much better. All right. Next tip, cookie dough is something you can absolutely bake in advance. This is the best thing to bake in advance. You can mix all your cookie dough, portion it into balls, and then seal it in a Ziploc bag, and then you can freeze it for at least a month. It works brilliantly. Then you can just take out the number of cookie dough balls that you need, bake it off. It works brilliantly. Depending on your recipe, you'll need to taste if you first need them to thaw to room temperature before you can bake them, or if you can bake them straight from the freezer. So you can just taste that out and see what works for you. Okay, next tip is to, with a home bakery especially, guys, we're not a giant commercial bakery. We can't buy heaps of ingredients in advance without knowing that people are actually going to order. It's a very, very risky move to do. Someone emailed me this week and I felt so sorry for them because they bought so many ingredients in bulk, but now they're not getting orders and now the ingredients are going to expire. That's dreadful. It's terrible. So especially if you are starting out, don't buy heaps of ingredients in advance. You absolutely don't need to do that. Buying in bulk isn't always better, especially if you don't end up using all the ingredients and they end up going to waste. Bulk buying can save you money, but don't make that your priority right now just to save a few dollars. You know, it's not worth it. You can look for ingredient suppliers in your town or city. The easiest way to do that is to look out while you're driving on the road, especially in neighborhoods when you're driving past restaurants. You will start spotting so many delivery trucks. It's the best way. Then you can see who actually delivers in your area, you know, which ingredient suppliers. And then you can also obviously search on Google. You can search for catering suppliers or catering ingredient suppliers in your town or city, and I'm sure you'll find something on Google. And then you can just reach out to them, ask them if they do supply small businesses. Usually they really don't mind, and most of the time they deliver for free as well, so that's a bargain. But don't always assume that because it's from a catering supply company, it is therefore cheaper. Not always the case. You'll need to do your homework. You will need to check the prices in the grocery store and make sure that it's actually cheaper. Some ingredients are still cheaper in the grocery store. And what's also really handy is the ingredients in the grocery store are in smaller packaging. I don't know about you, but I'm little, okay? So I can't lift a 12.5 kilogram bag of flour. It's just impossible. So for me, it's totally worth it to still buy the 2.5 kg bags because that's easier to handle. It's more practical to use in a home bakery. When you have a commercial kitchen, that's an entirely different story. And if you have huge muscles and go to the gym, then that's also a different story. But buying from the grocery store is not inferior. You don't have to buy in bulk from catering suppliers at all. It's not a requirement, and the amount of money you save won't necessarily be that significant. You'll need to do your homework, okay? And then, let me see. Yeah, so I just want to re-emphasize, buy ingredients as you need them, okay? If you are baking things for this Tuesday or this Friday, then when you go to the grocery store, then buy those ingredients. Buy just what you need. I know that it's a lot cheaper to buy the 5 kilogram bag of raisins in the store, and you think like, oh wow, that's so much cheaper, but don't do it. If you know, especially for ingredients that you use a tiny amount of, then don't buy the giant bags. Rather, just charge your clients, charge them for those ingredient costs, and then you don't have to worry about it. Okay. Okay, next one. Now I went over tips for storing your baked goods, and yeah, just loads of tips focused on your baked goods. Now I'm going to focus more on ingredients and tips for making your ingredients last longer. This is really cool stuff. Okay, so cream. Cream goes off quite quickly, right? It doesn't last very long. But here's what you can do. The moment you open up that cream and you know that you actually need to still use it tomorrow and the next day, just stir in a teaspoon of sugar. Teaspoon of granulated sugar, and even a tiny pinch of salt. Add that in there as well. Mix it through really well. Let it stand for 5 minutes in the fridge until the sugar has dissolved completely, and then stir it again so that sugar gets mixed evenly into all the cream. Then your cream will last at least another 3 days longer. Seriously, it's amazing. Try it out. Okay. And then also what you can do if you see, okay, my cream is going off in 2 days, but I still have quite a bit of it left, if you didn't use all of it in your frosting or in your cake or whatever, then you can use that cream to make ganache. And then you can freeze your ganache. And then you can restore your ganache after you've frozen it. It's very easy to do. You can do the same thing actually with cream pats. If you haven't tried that before, I figured out a super cool technique that you can use. You basically just let it thaw again to room temperature. It might be split. That's totally fine. Don't worry about it. Then just put it on the stove in a saucepan on the lowest possible heat setting that you have. And then just whisk it. Well, first let it melt a bit, and warm up a bit, and then whisk it vigorously. It becomes 100% smooth. I kid you not. You have to try it. I have the whole method written out on my blog. You can just go to the link in my bio, go to my blog and then search custard, and then you will find that method. It works for ganache as well. So that's how you can use up your leftover cream so it doesn't go off and it doesn't go to waste. Of course, you can also just drink it in your coffee because it's nice. But yes, preferably we want to use the ingredients we bought for baking, not for our personal use, but actually for our baking business. So yes, making ganache and freezing it works brilliantly. And then if you have cream cheese, that's going to go off because cream cheese is an expensive thing. And that's one thing that I love to buy in bulk. I buy these 2.5 kilogram tubs from an ingredient supplier. And that works out a lot cheaper. That you get certain ingredients where it is totally worth it to buy the bulk bag when it comes to really expensive ingredients like cream cheese. But if you know it's going to go off, then you can make cheesecake batter in advance without the eggs or the cream. So what you do is you let your cream cheese come to room temperature, or you can just put it on the quick defrost setting in your microwave. And then it very quickly comes to room temperature. Brilliant little tip, by the way, if you want to make cheesecake and your cream cheese isn't room temperature. But anyway, then you mix it as usual in your mixer, and then you add the sugar and the salt in there, and you mix it for about 2 minutes on a low speed, just so, well, actually you can do it on a medium speed so you get all the lumps out. But then the water content in the cream cheese dissolves the sugar. And after about 2 minutes, it's all completely dissolved. And the sugar and the salt preserve the cream cheese, first of all. But also, when you add sugar to it, it stops it from splitting in the freezer. If you just add cream cheese like that into the freezer, it will split. Guaranteed. But if it has all the sugar in there, I don't think the salt has any effect on the science of it. But the sugar absolutely does. And then you can, that mixture, you can just put it in a container, airtight container, and freeze it for a month. And then whenever you need to make cheesecake, you can just whip that out. And then you didn't waste all that cream cheese. So that's another great tip for you. And then the last tip I have is all the ingredients that you can freeze. You can freeze so many things. Butter freezes super well. You don't need to buy butter every week, and especially butter. Butter is also a more expensive ingredient, right? So when it's on sale, you want to buy loads of it. And then you can pop it in your freezer. If you are concerned about, because it's usually like a foil or a paper kind of wrapping. And if you're concerned that air might get into it, or it might start tasting like freezer, then just pop it in a Ziploc bag. Squeeze out all the air, or like squeeze your Ziploc bag until there's about a centimeter open on the one side. And then just squeeze out all your air and then zip up the last little bit. And that will last for months and months and months in your freezer. So that's how you can store butter. And other things, you can also freeze coconut. Coconut freezes really well. If you live in a very hot climate, in summer months, then coconut can go rancid. Same with nuts. Pecans especially go off quite quickly. So pecans, peanuts, etc. You can just freeze all of them. You don't even need to put them in a Ziploc bag. That's fine. I usually just cut open the corner of the bag, and then I squeeze out the air when I'm done. Sorry, my cat's here. You want to see her? Here she is. Hello. Hello, kitty. I think she wants her blanket. That's the issue. You see? Let me see. She likes lying under things. Anyway, that's little Kibu. Sorry, I'm totally distracted. Okay. Yes, nuts. Nuts freeze really well. Cut off the corner of your bag, squeeze out the air, And then you can just, when you're done, fold over the corner and then just clip it with a washing peg, and then that's fine. Put that in your freezer. It lasts for months. It's brilliant. And then you can also freeze seeds like poppy seeds. They can also start tasting a bit strange after a while, so you can freeze those. Yes, so those are all the tips that I have for storing ingredients and your baked goods for longer shelf life. But once again, I just want to reiterate the most important points for today. Just buy ingredients as you need them. You don't have to buy bulk. It's not necessarily always cheaper. Plus, it's going to take up so much space in your house to have all those extra ingredients. Don't go big or go home at all. Be sensible. Buy ingredients on a weekly basis. Buy what you need that week. And when there's a sale on items that you know for a fact you're going to use, like butter, for example, or sugar. I mean, sugar lasts forever. That's fine. Then buy those things in bulk. That's a great idea. But not for ingredients that you're not 100% sure that you are going to use. Don't buy those in advance. Don't buy them in bulk. It's not worth it. You're going to end up wasting your money. And definitely go check out that post about getting your baking done faster so that you don't have to bake things in advance. You can prep things in advance so that your baking day goes super, super quick. I mean, there were days when I literally had to bake 250 items a day for coffee shops and things like that. And all these tips are things I picked up over time to make my baking day go as quickly as possible, but still, with great quality baking. So go to my profile, click Home Bakery Day links. If you're watching on YouTube, then just click the link below this video for Home Bakery Day links, and then you will find the link for how to get your baking done faster. It's an amazing blog post. You're going to love it. Okay, so that's it for today. I will definitely do this again next week. If you want to submit your question, then check my Instagram stories on a Tuesday, because then I will share, actually already on a Monday. On a Monday, I give you an opportunity to share your question. And then the 2 questions that pop up the most, I will give you an opportunity to vote for your favorite question on a Tuesday and then on a Wednesday at 5 p.m. South African Standard Time or Central Africa Time. Then I will share a video like this. Okay. Cool. Thanks so much for tuning in. It was great to hang with you, and have a great rest of your day. Bye.